At some point, I promised that on this channel I would play a game made within the last decade. Today is still not that day. Today, we will be discussing Wet. Okay, go ahead now, take a moment, laugh, get it out of your system. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's why they titled the game this. We're going to be saying it a lot today, so it's best we clear that now. Okay, we good? We good. All right, let's go. Wet is a third-person action shooter game published by Bethesda and developed by Artificial Mind and Movement, also known as Behavior Interactive. It released in 2009 for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 to overall mixed reviews. I've seen conflicting numbers on sales, but they're all somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million. On the site vgcharts.com, one user says, "I think this game was awful, so I'm glad to see sales reflect that." Needless to say, Wet was not well loved in its era. As a matter of fact, one of the only ways you'll hear it talked about all these years later is in the context of games that the world has seemingly forgotten. You have to feel bad for Wet to an extent. This avant-garde little action game was competing for the attention of players against games like Assassin's Creed 2, Batman Arkham Asylum, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Red Faction Guerrilla, Left 4 Dead 2, Halo 3 ODST, and many more titles that would become instant fan favorites. Wet was a little tiny fish in a Pacific Ocean-sized pond. Visually, it does feel a little dated, even by 2009 standards. However, it features a really unique art direction. If you know anything about me, you know Left 4 Dead is one of my favorite games of all time. A big part of my love for that series is how it's all styled after cheesy 1970s horror B films. Everything from the posters as loading screens, to the background soundtrack, even to the concept of a director influencing the events of the game. Wet has a very similar thing going on, but it's a few degrees more niche, so you might not pick up on its references. Wet is inspired by mid-20th century grindhouse theater and the exploitation film genre. As a matter of fact, there was a 2007 movie by Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez called Grindhouse, paying homage to this era of film. If you look at the covers of Wet and Grindhouse side by side, it's clear whoever was in charge saw Grindhouse in the theater in 2007 and walked directly into the game dev studio with the idea in mind. Once you realize the source of inspiration behind Wet, a lot of the things in the game finally click, and you have that "oh" moment as everything sort of coalesces in your mind and you realize what you're looking at now. The biggest one is the super random and out of place loading screens. They range from PSAs about stealing the speakers at a drive-in to just a straight up hot dog advertisement. Without that little bit of context regarding the game's inspiration from grindhouse theater, you would be incredibly lost. However, once you know the style it's going for, it starts to make sense. They're all old film reels that would play during an intermission at an old school movie theater, just like how the loading screen is an intermission in the gameplay. I also want to take a minute to shout out the soundtrack. It's this really cool rock and roll type thing they got going on. None of it is necessarily something I would throw on outside playing the game, but it does enhance the gameplay. I'd like to play some of it for you, but I can't because this entire game is licensed music, and you know how YouTube is about that sort of thing. But I think they did a very good job not only picking songs for the soundtrack, but also placing them at moments in the game where they fit. Everything just feels great about it.
Here we go.
The plot of Wet, it's short for wet work, guys, I'm just using slang, revolves around a problem solver, or just a general mercenary for hire, named Ruby. And it's a rather typical revenge story, spending the majority of the game's runtime tracking down the crime lord who set you up. In all honesty, plot and story is not the strength of this game. It isn't particularly great, and it's rather short, which is why I find my fixation with it so fascinating. In my free time, I play a lot of story-driven games or RPGs. Plot is certainly something that does matter to me in a game. I'm the type of player who gets upset when a game like Battlefield doesn't feature a single-player campaign, even though at this point, nobody is buying it for that anymore. So when I tell you Wet doesn't have a particularly great story, I mean it. Yet at the same time, This game has me completely hooked entirely with gameplay alone. The gameplay is really simple, but simultaneously incredibly satisfying. You have a set of dual pistols, a sword, and a bunch of acrobatic stunts you can perform. The primary mechanic is the slow motion bullet time effect that happens during a stunt, whether that be a jump, a slide, a dive, or really anything that isn't 2 feet planted on floor. The fun part is how the game handles the dual wield weapons. During the slow motion moments, one pistol will automatically target an enemy, while the other is free to be aimed by the player using the thumbstick. The auto-locking of the offhand gun always seemed to work just right for me. I never had any frustration regarding it locking onto an enemy I didn't want, though you do get the ability to reset the aim to a different target if that were to happen to you. The objective is to simply progress through the linear shooting galleries while gunning down bad guys in the coolest way possible, leaping all over the place. It plays like a bizarre, coked out mix of Tomb Raider and Max Payne, with just a little bit of Kill Bill thrown in there on top. Throughout the game, you unlock a few new sets of weapons like shotguns and some new abilities like being able to vault off enemies to gain an airborne advantage. The regular gunplay is the majority of the game, and it's the best part. There are some linear hallway shooting segments, the arena sections where you have to break enemy spawn doors. There's even a couple highway chase segments. The rest of the gameplay is the platformer type segments. Usually the gunplay is interwoven, but there's a couple sections that's mostly just parkour. There's also a lot of quick time moments in this game. I don't mind it too much personally, but I know some people despise quick time events, and it's potentially a factor that contributed to its poor reception on release, especially considering the final confrontation with the main antagonist is just a series of quick time events. As much as I've been having fun with this game, even I can't defend that. Needless to say, I find this game incredibly fun. It flows really nicely, and you can pretty easily chain together a bunch of stunts to perform really satisfying shootouts. The level design is structured in a way to always give you something to get airborne with, which really complements the slow motion bullet time. It was challenging, but I never truly got stuck anywhere. This is a game that was released before the yellow paint trend became a thing, so it was nice to actually use my head to figure out what I needed to do next. I think what I find so charming about this game is just the gameplay in combination with how eccentric the style is, not to mention how out of pocket everything about the main character is. Ruby is just extra in the best ways possible as a protagonist. It's pretty obvious she was intended to be the main selling point of the game. The devs really banked hard on audiences liking her. I imagine the thought was that teenage boys or young adults would walk into GameStop, see her on the cover of a game titled Wet, and then empty their piggy bank money right into the developers' pockets.
It's about time. Just you and me. This is better, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. It's a wet dream.
He said it! He said it!
I can't help but feel maybe they were a little too ahead of their time with her, honestly. She might be the only video game character to gatekeep gaslight girl boss so hard she killed her own game. As a review from 2011 puts it, she is about as likable and as sympathetic as a deep-sea anglerfish in an SS uniform. Wow. Like I mentioned, people did not like this game when it came out, but at the same time, I feel as if Wet released in 2025, discussion around Ruby would be much more positive, and all the conversations about her would be filled with that one Lego Batman gif under every Instagram reel thirst trap of a woman wearing goth makeup. Ruby, as a character in the proper sense, kind of doesn't exist. She's essentially just a vulgar, violent killing machine with a passion for aura farming, and in a way that's kind of the best part about her. The best way I can put it is she's not at all an interesting character narratively, but she's very fun to play as. She's also very unintentionally funny. I say unintentionally because there's not really many jokes. All of the humor comes from her just being really excessive and how angry she is all the time. In gunfights, she's constantly spouting these incredibly vulgar one-liners that are just so filled with rage, they sort of become funny at a point.
You're all gonna fucking die. Go fuck yourself. Go fucking blow yourself.
doesn't ever seem to like anything, but she sure hates things. Like airplanes.
First is I hate to fly, and last I heard, Hong Kong's not all that drivable. Why is it always planes? Here we go.
Opera.
He's heading to the Old Royal Opera House.
I hate opera.
Being called a bitch.
You bitch! You fucking bitch! You're gonna leave me? You fucking bitch!
You should have stopped it. I can't feel my legs.
Doors.
Fucking door.
Books.
Here's your fucking book.
Presumably elevators based on how moody she appears during the loading screens.
Ugh.
And getting blood on her face. The last one sends her into a fit of rage where she literally sees red, and you get to experience what it would be like to play a shooter on the Nintendo Virtual Boy. Some of the humor also just comes from how extra she is about everything. To borrow a modern colloquialism, she is constantly doing the most. For example, when she heals health points by guzzling whiskey as one does, she can't just drink it. She drinks it and then throws the bottle up behind her and then quick draw shoots it out of the air. The one that caught me the most off guard was the first time I saw how this game handles ladders. Most games feature a slide down ladder mechanic to make them faster. It hadn't occurred to me the standard ladder slide wouldn't work for Ruby because she needs to use her dual pistols. So when the game prompted me to slide down the ladder and she flipped upside down and hung by her knees, I think I audibly gasped with laughter. I was so taken aback. There's also just a couple random moments that I found really funny. For the primary pistols in the game, they are 100% unlimited ammo, as in you cannot run out of ammo and you never even need to reload them. So you go the entire game firing thousands of rounds without reloading, and then in the final cutscene, the gun finally goes click at the one moment it needs to not. I mentioned how every time she uses an elevator, she just mean mugs the CCTV camera. Well, one time and one time only, for seemingly no discernible reason at all, she just starts up a harmonica solo. There's also this one little fourth wall break wink moment that made me laugh.
Why is that bitch still alive?
So yeah, it's hard to say Ruby really has an actual character, but she's very entertaining to play as, and that's kind of all I was asking for. She certainly won't be making any of, the top lists with Master Chief and Super Mario, but she's pretty fun. I don't think she deserves to be forgotten. Honestly, aside from the lackluster story, my biggest issue with Wet is just how short it is. Around what I would say is the halfway mark, you finally get some leads on the guy that set you up, and you see the entire criminal hierarchy of the syndicate. I thought there would be a lot of game left, taking out each bad guy one by one by one, but no. You get rid of two of them, I think, and then the end cutscene QuickTime event plays. I can't help but feel they cut another third of the game off. There's a good bit of plot that never gets resolved too. Even with how short it was, I still got over 20 hours or so of entertainment out of it, which isn't bad I suppose. The replayability isn't exactly phenomenal. There's no new game plus or anything. You just unlock harder difficulties. If you want to play Wet for yourself, it's going to be a bit of a task. It never got a PC release, and as far as I'm aware, it's not available for backwards compatibility on Xbox or PlayStation, meaning it's stuck on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. In addition, due to the age of these consoles, the digital storefronts have shut down, meaning the only way to play it is to get a physical copy used secondhand off eBay or something. Given how poorly Wet sold, it tends to run a bit pricier than it probably should too. Not to mention, because it has this status as sort of a forgotten cult classic, some people who are selling it are also selling it for scalped prices. All of that combines to essentially create a feedback loop that keeps Wet as a forgotten game. There was a sequel planned, Wet 2 Double Feature, but it was cancelled in 2011, meaning Wet as a franchise is likely permanently dead. I'm not even particularly sure who has the rights to the IP. The developer, Behavior Interactive, is currently best known for developing Dead by Daylight, and based on all the licensed tie-ins that game gets, I doubt they have any incentive to invest money into a series like Wet that was panned as a flop on release. I don't know. Maybe we can get Ruby added to Fortnite as a consolation prize. Now, why did I make this video? Truth be told, I just wanted to talk about the game. I gave it a shot and it really hooked me, but because this game is somewhat of a cult classic, I had nobody to discuss it with, because nobody's played it. So I figured ranting to myself on the internet was the next best thing. Also, after a couple playthroughs, I realized how short the game was, and I decided to try speedrunning it a bit. I've never put together a complete run, but if I ever decide to upload a Wet speedrun to this channel, now I have a video I can point people to get the basic information on the game. So that's all for today. This was my first attempt at a more structured, scripted type of video. If you made it this far, thank you for watching me rant about this weird little game for so long. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did you play Wet back in the day, and did you like it or did you hate it? If you haven't played it, did this video make you want to play it? I'd love to hear what you guys think. That being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.